Her name was Chloe. And the first time we spoke, she handed me a pen I dropped in class. Just one small moment. But sometimes, that's all it takes. From that day on, we were always together. Lunch breaks. Study sessions. Long calls at night. She was loud, confident, and full of energy. And I was the quiet one. The listener. But somehow, we balanced each other. She told me everything about her family, her crushes, her fears. And I did the same. I didn't have many friends. But I didn't need many. Because I had her. And when she called me her best friend, it felt real. It felt safe. It felt like maybe I finally belonged somewhere. What I didn't know was that the same voice that once called me bestie would one day break me in a 30-second voice note. But back then, I didn't see it coming. I had no idea. We did everything together. Shopping after class. Making silly TikToks in the dorm. Helping each other study the night before big exams. People used to say, "Wherever Chloe is, Emma's not far behind." And I loved that. I trusted her with everything. The stories I never told anyone. The nights I cried over things I didn't even understand. The fears I kept hidden from the world. And she listened. She'd say things like, "I'll always be here for you. You're the only real friend I have." I believed every word. Because when Chloe smiled at me, it felt honest. And when she hugged me goodbye after class, it felt like home. She wasn't just my friend. She was my person. And if someone had told me, "One day, she'll laugh behind your back," I would have said they were lying. Because back then, Chloe could do no wrong in my eyes. There was this one night I'll never forget. I was having a breakdown. It wasn't loud, it never is with me. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Trying not to cry too loud in the shared dorm room. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was Chloe. "Hey, I got you your favorite drink. Come outside." I didn't even tell her I was upset. She just knew. I stepped out, wearing a hoodie and swollen eyes. And there she was, holding 2 iced coffees. Smiling like everything would be okay. We sat on the bench behind the dorm, under a quiet sky. She didn't ask what was wrong. She didn't make me explain. She just sat beside me and said, "Whatever it is, we'll get through it. Together." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. Because for the first time in a long time, I felt safe. That night, I decided she was the one person I could trust completely. I didn't know that one day, her voice would become the one thing I'd wish I never heard. It didn't happen all at once. It started small. Little things you don't notice when your heart is full of trust. She stopped waiting for me after class. Said she was just in a rush. She started hanging out with a new group of girls. Ones who wore the same style, spoke the same way, laughed a little louder. I didn't mind at first. Friends can have other friends. Right? But soon, I felt like an outsider in her life. Like I was only allowed in certain parts. The quiet ones. The ones she didn't post online. Sometimes she wouldn't reply to my texts for hours. But I'd see her posting stories, laughing with them, going places we used to go. I asked her once, "Hey, are we okay?" She smiled and said, "Of course. Don't be so emotional, Em. You know I love you." So I believed her. Because I wanted to. Because that's what you do when someone is your best friend. You don't question every silence. You just hold on to the memories that felt real. And hope they still mean something. Even when everything starts feeling different. One afternoon, I was in the library. Studying alone like I always did now. Two girls at the next table were whispering. I wasn't paying attention. Until I heard my name. Emma? Yeah, Chloe was saying stuff about her the other day. My heart stopped. The words were quiet, but sharp. Like tiny knives aimed right at my chest. I didn't hear the rest. I didn't need to. I sat there, frozen. Trying to breathe normally. Trying not to assume the worst. Because Chloe wouldn't do that. Right? She wouldn't tell people my secrets. She wouldn't turn my name into a conversation behind my back. She wouldn't. But that whisper. That moment. It planted something inside me. Not anger. Not hatred. Just a question. What if she already has? I tried to shake it off. Maybe they were talking about a different Emma. Maybe I misheard. Maybe I was just being sensitive, like Chloe always said. So I smiled when she texted me that evening. You okay? Haven't seen you all day. I wanted to say. I heard what they said in the library. Is it true? Did you tell them something about me? But I didn't. Instead, I replied. Yeah, I'm just tired. All good. Because that's what I always did. Protected her from my doubts. Protected the friendship. Even if it meant hurting myself. But the signs kept coming. I'd walk into a room. And conversation would stop. Someone I barely knew would say, I didn't know you were like that. Like what? They never said. But their faces did. And I knew. Deep down. Someone had told them something. And the only person who knew that something was Chloe. We were sitting together again. Like old times, or at least pretending to be. She had her phone in one hand. Laughing at something someone sent her. I was quiet, just watching. Then she said something. A small joke. A silly comment about a personal story I had told her months ago. One no one else knew. Except her. She said it like it was nothing. Just a laugh between friends. But her friend beside her laughed too, like she already knew the story. I froze. Wait, how do you know that? I asked her friend. Chloe cut in quickly. Oh, I must have mentioned it by accident, I didn't mean to. She laughed it off. But I didn't. Because now I knew. It wasn't in my head. She had been sharing things. Things that weren't hers to tell. My secrets. My trust. All turned into punchlines in group chats I was never part of. And the worst part? She wasn't even sorry. Not really. She just smiled and said, "Don't be so serious, Em. It's not a big deal." But to me, it was everything. That night, I lay in bed with my phone on my chest, staring at the ceiling. Everything felt heavy. But I couldn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I kept thinking about the way she laughed. The way she brushed it off. The way her friend already knew. And I kept asking myself the same question. What else has she told them? What else was said in those chats when I wasn't around? How many versions of me had she created? And why? Did I still want to believe she cared? I typed a message. A long one. Paragraph after paragraph. Telling her how hurt I was. How confused. How betrayed. But I never sent it. I just stared at the blinking cursor. And then deleted it all. Because what's the point of opening your heart to someone who already knows how to break it? That night, I fell asleep with swollen eyes. And silence. But I didn't know that the real breaking point was just one voice note away. It was the next morning. I was getting ready for class. Half awake, still feeling that heaviness in my chest. My phone buzzed. A notification from Chloe. One voice message. No text. No explanation. Just that. For a second, I thought maybe she was checking in. Maybe she felt guilty. Maybe she wanted to talk, really talk. So I played it. Her voice came through my speaker. But it wasn't meant for me. Not this time. The tone was different. Louder. Colder. Almost mocking. Ugh, she's so clingy. Like, I can't even breathe without her needing something. Laughter in the background. Not mine. Someone else's. Then her voice again. She tells me all this deep stuff like I'm her therapist or something. It's so dramatic. My heart dropped. My body went still. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Because I knew. She hadn't sent that to me on purpose. She sent it by mistake. She was talking about me. And in that one moment, everything shattered. I wanted to stop the recording. I really did. But my thumb just hovered over the pause button. And I listened. Her voice kept going. Honestly, I only hang out with her because she has no one else. She's like weirdly attached. Kind of sad, really. More laughter in the background. Girls I recognized. Voices I once smiled at in the hallway. Every word hit like a slap. Every second tore something inside me. It wasn't just gossip. It wasn't a bad joke. It was her truth. How she really saw me. How she talked about me when I wasn't there. And the worst part? It wasn't even anger I felt. It was heartbreak. Because I loved her like a sister. And she treated me like an inconvenience. A joke. A story to entertain others with. I sat there, phone still in my hand, listening to the last few seconds of the voice note fade out. And in that silence, I realized something. She never valued me. She just used me. I didn't move for a long time. Just sat on the edge of my bed. Phone in my hand. The words still echoing in my head. She's so clingy. It's kind of sad. I only hang out with her because she has no one else. My eyes burned. But no tears came at first. Only numbness. Like something inside me had gone quiet. Too quiet. Then suddenly, it all hit at once. I started shaking. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. And the tears came fast, heavy, hot, unstoppable. I buried my face into my hands and cried. Not just from the betrayal, but from the shame. Shame that I didn't see it. Shame that I loved her more than she ever cared. Shame that I let myself believe her lies. Over and over again. I thought about all the memories. Every late night talk, every birthday, every secret I shared. And now they all felt like lies. Moments I thought were real. Now poisoned by one voice note. I didn't want to go to class. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to see anyone. Because how do you walk into a room when you know the people in it were laughing at you behind your back? It didn't take long. A few hours later, my phone buzzed again. Chloe. Emma. OMG. I didn't mean to send that. It was just a joke. Please don't take it seriously. Another message came in. You know I love you. We always joke like this. I stared at the screen. My hands were cold. My heart, quiet now, not broken, just tired. Joke? She called it a joke. All those words. All that cruelty. My pain turned into her entertainment. And she wanted to call it a joke. She could lie to herself if she wanted. Pretend it was all just a misunderstanding. But I had heard it. All of it. And there's something about hearing the truth in someone's voice. The tone, the laugh, the ease of it. That cuts deeper than anything written ever could. She wasn't sorry she said it. She was sorry I heard it. That's not an apology. That's panic. And I wasn't going to let her rewrite what I knew was real. I didn't reply. Not to the first message. Not to the second. Not even when she called, twice. I watched the screen light up. Saw her name. Heard her voice in my head again. And I let it ring. Because what do you say to someone who made fun of your deepest fears and then called it a joke? So I went quiet. Not to punish her. Not to be dramatic. But because I had nothing left to say. For so long, I was the one who always reached out. Who forgave. Who stayed. This time, I didn't. And that silence? It scared her. Because soon, her messages changed. Please just talk to me. You're overreacting. Don't throw everything away over one mistake. But she didn't get it. She threw it away. With one message. One moment. One voice I can never unhear. I didn't need revenge. I didn't want a scene. I just wanted peace. And peace meant walking away. That night, I did something simple. But it felt like everything. I opened my phone. Went to our chat. Scrolled through all the messages. The jokes, the memories, the I love yous. And then I hit delete. Not out of hate. Not out of anger. But because I was done carrying what she clearly never valued. I removed her from my contacts. Left the group chat where she and her friends laughed. Muted her stories. Unfollowed. Unseen. And with every click, I felt lighter. Not happy. Not healed. But free. Because letting go isn't loud. It doesn't always come with big speeches or final goodbyes. Sometimes, it's just quiet decisions. That say, I deserve better than this. And that night, for the first time in a long time, I slept without tears on my pillow. Not because the pain was gone, but because I had finally stopped letting her live in my heart for free. The next morning felt strange. No unread messages. No fake I miss you texts. No pretending everything was okay. Just silence. And for once, I didn't hate it. I walked to class alone. Sat by myself. A few people stared. Some even whispered. But I didn't care this time. Because now, they weren't looking at a girl desperate to belong. They were looking at a girl who had already walked through the fire. And came out on the other side. The ache was still there. Of course it was. You don't just erase years of friendship in one night. You don't just stop missing someone. Because they turned out to be someone else. But I also knew this. I didn't need Chloe to feel whole. Not anymore. I had trusted her with my heart. And she had thrown it around like gossip. But now, I was learning to hold it myself. Carefully. Gently. Like it always deserved to be. I was sitting outside the library. Same spot Chloe and I used to sit. Only this time, I was alone. No one around. Just the wind, the trees, and the sound of pages turning. Then I heard a voice. Soft. Careful. Hey. Emma? I looked up. It was Mia, a girl from one of my classes. We'd never really talked before. She sat down next to me without asking. Not too close. Just enough. I know it's not my place, she said. But I heard what happened. The voice note. My heart jumped. I wasn't ready to cry again. But then she said something I didn't expect. You didn't deserve that. None of it. And just like that, the wall I'd built around myself cracked a little. She didn't ask for details. She didn't offer fake comfort. She just sat there. Quiet. present. And for the first time since everything happened, I didn't feel completely alone. Because someone saw me. Not as a joke. Not as a rumor. But as a person who got hurt, and was still standing. That night, I opened my journal. It had been weeks since I wrote anything. The pages still smelled like ink and coffee. My handwriting looked softer than I remembered. I flipped to a fresh page. And just sat there for a while. Thinking. Not about Chloe. Not about the voice note. But about me. The girl who trusted too easily. The girl who loved deeply. The girl who felt like her whole world shattered from 30 seconds of truth. But also. The girl who survived it. The girl who didn't fight back with gossip. The girl who chose silence, and found peace in it. I picked up my pen and wrote one sentence. She broke my heart, but not my voice. And that's when I knew. This story wasn't about what Chloe did to me. It was about what I chose after. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to post screenshots. I didn't need people to pick sides. I just wanted to write. To speak. To heal. In my own way. At my own pace. And maybe. One day, my voice could help someone else feel less alone too. A week later. Our English teacher gave us a class project. Write a personal essay, she said. Something that changed you. Most of the class groaned. Chloe rolled her eyes and whispered something to her new friends. But I just sat there, staring at the blank paper. And for the first time since everything happened, I didn't feel afraid. I started writing. Line by line. Word by word. I didn't use names. I didn't mention the voice note. But I told the truth. My truth. About trust. And pain. And how betrayal doesn't always come with shouting. Sometimes it comes with laughter and a voice note you were never meant to hear. I wrote about silence. And survival. And how healing isn't loud, it's quiet and slow. When I finished, my hands were shaking. But not from fear. From release. I turned it in. Not to get an A. Not to prove anything. But because I was finally ready. To stop carrying it alone. And somehow, in that small classroom, at the back of that paper, I began to take my power back. 2 days after I handed in my essay, my teacher stopped me after class. She smiled, not the polite kind. The kind where someone's eyes soften. Like they've just heard something honest. Emma, she said. Your piece, it stayed with me. Thank you for writing it. I didn't know what to say. No one had ever thanked me for telling the truth before. Then something strange started happening. That week, a few classmates I barely knew began nodding at me in the hallway. Not saying much, just a small glance. A smile. A silent kind of respect. One girl even whispered, I read your essay. I've felt the same. I'm sorry for what happened. She didn't say Chloe's name. She didn't need to. Because people knew. They always knew. But now, they also knew me. Not the version Chloe joked about. Not the one they heard in whispers. The real me. And slowly, without trying, without shouting, my truth had started to rise. Not to hurt anyone. Not to prove anyone wrong. But to remind myself that even if I was broken, I was still worth hearing. It happened in the hallway. I turned the corner. And there she was. Chloe. Standing by her locker. Laughing with two of her friends. For a second, my body froze. Just like it used to. Back when her name still hurt. She saw me. Her smile faded, just for a moment. She looked nervous. Eyes flicking to mine. Then quickly away. I kept walking. Slow. Calm. No shaking hands this time. No lump in my throat. Just silence. And peace. I wasn't angry. I didn't need to be. Because in that moment, I realized something powerful. She didn't matter the way she used to. Her words. Her opinions. They no longer controlled my worth. And I think she knew that too. Because as I passed, she didn't say a word. And neither did I. But the difference was, I didn't need to. My silence was no longer weakness. It was strength. And that day, I walked past her. Like someone who had already moved on. Because I had. A few weeks later, our English teacher gave us a choice. If you want, she said, you can read your essay aloud. To the class. My first instinct was no. Why would I? Why would I open up again? To a room that once looked at me with pity. Or worse, amusement. But then I remembered the hallway. The nods. The quiet thank yous. The way people had started seeing me. Not as weak, but as someone who stood back up. So I raised my hand. The next day, I stood at the front of the class. Papers shaking in my hands. Heart pounding. And I read. Not the gossip. Not the drama. Just the truth. I read about pain. About friendship. About what it means to be laughed at by the person you loved most. About how healing isn't clean. And how betrayal doesn't always sound like a scream. Sometimes, it sounds like a girl you trusted, laughing in a voice note. When I finished, no one clapped. But no one looked away either. They listened. And in that silence, I felt stronger than I ever had before. Because I had taken the one thing Chloe tried to steal. And I made it mine again. My story. My voice. My power. After class, I sat alone beneath the same old tree outside campus. The one Chloe and I used to sit under every week. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't cry when I thought of her. I thought about all the moments we shared. The secrets. The laughs. The way she used to call me my person. And I let myself miss it. But I didn't want it back. Because now I saw it clearly. I wasn't her person. I was her placeholder, her audience, her emotional dumping ground when it was convenient, and her punchline when it wasn't. It hurt. But it also taught me something no friendship ever had before. That I had been giving pieces of myself away. To someone who never planned to hold them with care. And even though I lost her, I found something better. Me. My voice. My truth. My ability to stand alone. And still feel whole. And no one, not even Chloe, could take that from me again. Later that evening, my phone buzzed with a message from a name I barely recognized. Lena. We'd only spoken a few times in class. She was quiet, like me. Always kind, but never close. I opened it. Hey, Emma. I just wanted to say your story really meant something to me. I'd been through something similar, and I never had the courage to speak about it. You made me feel less alone. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not because I didn't know how to respond, but because in that moment, I realized something I hadn't fully understood until now. All the pain I went through. The heartbreak, the shame, the silence. It wasn't just for nothing. It became someone else's comfort. Someone else's mirror. Someone else's first step toward healing. My voice, the one Chloe tried to shame, was now helping someone else feel seen. And that was more powerful than any friendship I lost. That night, I stood in front of the mirror for the first time. And didn't look away. No makeup. No fake smile. Just me. The girl who used to shrink herself to fit into someone else's version of friendship. The girl who cried alone because someone made her believe she was too much. Too emotional. Too dramatic. Too quiet. Too soft. But now, I saw something else. I saw strength in my silence. Grace in the way I let go. Power in the way I chose peace over revenge. I didn't need anyone to validate me. Not a group of classmates. Not a girl who sent the wrong voice note. Not even an apology that never came. Because I had already given myself everything I once begged for from someone else. Respect. Understanding. Kindness. Loyalty. From me. To me. And when I smiled this time, it was real. Not for anyone else. Just for the girl in the mirror. Who finally knew her worth. If you asked me a year ago who Chloe was, I would have said, my best friend. My sister. My safe place. But sometimes, the people who feel like home turn out to be storms in disguise. And sometimes, the heartbreak you thought would destroy you is exactly what sets you free. Her voice note shattered something in me. Yes. But it also uncovered something stronger. My voice. My boundaries. My ability to walk away with dignity. I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain. I just hope one day she learns what friendship really means. But as for me, I've learned enough. I've learned that real love doesn't make you small. Real friends don't speak about you in the dark. And you don't have to stay somewhere just because you used to be happy there. So if someone ever breaks you with words you weren't meant to hear, let them go. And remember, sometimes the voice that hurts you is the same one that teaches you how to finally listen to your own.